Hi guys, welcome to the BallSports podcast. Here at BallSports, we cover everything in sports as well as current events in the sports world. Today on this episode, we'll be talking about the Houston versus Golden State, Raptors versus 76ers, what happened at UFC 237, and the Western Eastern Conference Finals matchups. First thing I want to talk about is Kawhi's game winner. We've never seen a game winner hit at the buzzer in Game 7, so that was a first. He finished with 41 points. A lot of people didn't see this kind of performance coming out of Kawhi. A lot of people didn't know that he had this type of superstar in him. A lot of people are bashing Embiid for crying at the end of the game, and while everybody wants to say it's soft and everything, it shows the passion and how much he has dedicated into this game and proven that he is the best. I like Embiid, and I think the 76ers will be around for a long time. They just came up short. Kawhi had a great postseason, and he's continuing to have a great postseason, so we'll see how that works out against Giannis. And then we got Golden State versus Rockets, which I thought it should have went 7 games. I mean, everybody expected it to go 7 games. I'm just tired of Golden State winning. I'm a former OKC fan, so I really don't like Kevin Durant to begin with. But I'm tired of seeing the same team go to the finals. The same team's going to get out of the Western Conference. Just all the all-stars on the team. I just don't like the team. It's messed up a lot of the things that makes the NBA the NBA. Harden and the Rockets playing too much ISO ball. Harden has the ball way too long in his hands, and you can't play ISO ball like that. We thought it was going to work, but when we got to the playoffs, you realized, especially not against Golden State, isolation ball is not going to work. 36 points a game or not, James Harden, you got to learn to pass the ball a little bit more and get your teammates more involved. Nobody has been that successful off averaging that much. It just doesn't work like that. You need more than one person on your team who's going to put up at least 20, and that's just been proven for the longest period of time. Chris Paul. Let's talk about him. I know he's getting old. Chris Paul has been a great player for a long time. Chris Paul was almost a non-factor all the way up until Game 6. Yeah, I mean, he had virtually no offense, and he wasn't playing the point guard role. James Harden's bringing the ball up the court. Chris Paul's not even touching the ball a lot, so it goes back to Harden a little bit too, with playing too much ISO ball. But Chris Paul, he knows he's an all-star, and he's got to step up, and he's got to be better in playoff games, or else Houston's never going to get anywhere. They have the right fit. They have Capella. Chris Paul's there. James Harden. Eric Gordon's not bad. They should be all right, and to see them fall short this year was kind of a letdown, because I seen big things happening for that team, but it goes to show you that you can't do it by yourself. You need at least one more person. So now we're on to UFC 237. I don't know if anybody watched the fight or anything like that. I bought the package to make sure that I could watch Anderson Silva fight. It's my favorite fighter for the longest of time. We got to see him go down with an injury, a knee injury, a hard knee injury. I'm not sure what it was. I just know it was around the knee somewhere. We've seen him take injuries before, but now he's 44 years old, and things don't be looking, things aren't looking right for him. Cannonier and Anderson Silva, there wasn't much striking going involved. If you know Anderson, he doesn't really even start fighting until the end of the first round, so that should tell you a lot about that. I think this injury happened about four minutes into the first round, I'm pretty sure, so we didn't even get to really see Anderson. And it'll be weird to see if he comes back or not, or whether he's just going to call it a day now at 44 years old. You know, he was already a little old to still be fighting. But the Adesanya fight showed that Anderson Silva can still strike. And just because you get older doesn't mean you can't strike. But when you get older, you can't compete at a certain level that the 20-year-olds and even the 30-year-olds are doing. When you're that old, things don't work like they do, and it just doesn't work out as much as you want. He's older now, and he's a great fighter, and I'd like to see him just retire and maybe one more, and if he wins, one more, walk away, win or loss. But we don't want to watch Anderson tarnish his image. I've seen the same thing with Carmelo. Carmelo still trying to play basketball. Carmelo, we want to remember you as the great scorer that you were. We want to remember all the days that you were hitting game winners. You dropped 62. We want to remember all that. We don't want to remember you trying to fight for a job on a NBA roster, because it's probably not going to happen. I mean, I think Melo could fit in different scenarios all over the place. I feel like he could still play a little bit of ball, but what it's looking like is he needs to just retire. It's past Melo's prime, and we don't want to tarnish his image. The same thing with Anderson Silva. Back to 237, because I got off topic. UFC 237, the girls fought harder than the guys, it seemed like. And a lot of people would think, people don't assume that girls can fight like that. And the UFC shows that combat sports is not just for men anymore. I mean, their girls on there was fighting way harder than the dudes on there. So salute to all the girls, especially the main event. The main event was really exciting, even though I didn't get to see Anderson play that much. Or Anderson fight that much. I liked watching the girls fight at the end. It was a pretty cool ordeal right there. BJ Penn, sticking on UFC 237. BJ Penn, he's one of them the ones that's just kind of past his prime. I mean, BJ Penn's I think he's 16-14 now. That's just not a good record, man. You went on a tear when you were younger. I think for BJ Penn, it's just time to call it a day, too, before he ruins his image on the UFC. Because I don't see any chance of him actually being able to compete with anybody in his division. He got beat by Clay Guida, who is no scrub by no means, but Clay's old, too. Clay's 35-15, so he's had a really successful MMA career. I feel like BJ Penn just needs to put the gloves down, go coach somewhere or something. You can still make an impact on the game without being in it, if you know what I mean. I think the last thing I got is my Seahawks. I just want to give y'all a little update. I know nobody's really a Seahawks fan besides me, but Cam Chancellor and Doug Baldwin retiring. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, they'll go somewhere. I've seen a lot of that offer it. These guys are retiring. These guys have game-ending injuries that they cannot play. Cam Chancellor has been on the active roster for the last year. Not 100% sure why. I think the Seahawks were just paying him, hoping he'd come back or hoping he'd say something about it, but that didn't end up being the case. Doug Baldwin, same thing. I mean, he's 5'10", maybe. 5'10", playing in the NFL, wide receiver, taking shots like that. Just all doesn't work out as well as you want it to when you're a little guy like that. That's why little guys have shorter careers, especially Doug Baldwin in the position that he plays and the injury amount that you would have to sustain throughout the year. Okay, and then we got the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. West, I see Golden State probably taking it in max 6 games. I don't think the Trailblazers were worth the hype. I'm an OKC fan, so I guess I could just be hating. But I don't see the hype in Portland. I never seen the hype in Portland. I get that, Dame's playing his best ball, but it doesn't last forever. They don't have any solid big man down there besides Cantor, and Cantor can't play defense. Cantor's one of my favorite players, but he can't play defense. They will run into the Golden State Warriors, and they will get beat in 6 games, most likely. 6 games at max if they don't get beat in 5. I'm going over to the Eastern Conference Finals. I expect this one to be a battle. Giannis and Kawhi, virtually the same type of player. Kawhi can shoot better. Kawhi's been better for longer, but Giannis is a beast too, and standing at 7 foot tall and dribbling the way he can, you can't just say that Giannis doesn't have a chance against somebody. Kawhi's on a tear. He's got Kyle Lowry. Lowry's struggling, but I don't expect that to continue. I expect him to turn it up eventually. Kyle Lowry's not a bad player, and he shouldn't be struggling like this. But luckily, he has Kawhi on his team this year and not DeRozan, and Kawhi can do anything just about as good as any player in the in the NBA. He can do it just about as good as anybody. if I had to make a prediction on that, I say that goes 6 games at least. And it's a tough call. I don't even want to say, but I feel like Kawhi's been better for longer. He's had a better team for longer. He's got more playoff experience. If you really want to look up at the matchups too, I feel like Kawhi has the better team. The Raptors are more suited to beat the Bucks. If we get to the finals, I don't see anybody beating the Warriors. I see the Warriors getting their next championship. No problem. They're going to beat everybody in at least 6 games. They were a little vulnerable this year. Every now and again, they got beat, or the KD and Draymond argument, it kind of looked like they weren't getting together as good, or maybe it was the end of Golden State. Not the end of Golden State. These guys are great, and they'll get it worked out, and even without KD, these guys won 73 games by themselves. I doubt that they're going to get bounced whether KD plays or not. I feel like KD's just that added factor that puts the Warriors way over the top. Well, I guess that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed my podcast. It was a little short. I'm going to be doing this every Monday around the same time, so tune in, give me a like, subscribe, all that. I really appreciate it. And let me know what you guys think. Maybe I'll have a guest on here at some point in time to talk about these certain things. But thank you for joining the first podcast of Ball Sports, guys. Thank you.